We have the long-awaited 2-year review of the Samsung Galaxy Book Ion. This is the 13-inch model. It came out in 2021, and I want to see how well it holds up in 2023, 2 years after purchase. And of course, I'm going to show you the inside, the outside. We're going to see the highlights, the downsides, and I'll let you guys know on the scoop. So first things first, we gotta talk about the build quality, and I'm not sure if this shows up on the screen here that we're watching on, but you can see that there's some scratches all over the finish because what they went for was they went for a sandstone finish. Now this picks up fingerprints fairly easily, but they wipe off a lot nicer. But the problem with that is that it picks up scratches in the soft touch finish, so it's machined, but it is not sharp. So that's the trade off you get. Another thing that you might want to take note of is that these letters are not embossed, they are raised. So there's a little lip on every single letter where it can catch on your bag, catch on your laptop case if that's what you're walking around with. And sometimes what I end up with is little like fabric snags that happen in these letters. It's kind of been annoying, but you kind of get used to it after a while. Now, if we open up the device, what you see is it has a nice backlight right here on all the letters. Of course, you're greeted with your fingerprint scanner right here, and we get the Core i7 10th gen processor. So this is a 10th gen i7, and that is I believe it was the i7, and it's the 10510U. So it's not the most strong performer of the Intel lineup of that era, but it will handle all of your daily browser needs. So that's really where this laptop shines, is as a day-to-day just web browsing machine and a media consumption device. So a lot of the reviews when this thing came out were really upset about the sound quality of this device. And what I found out in my own research is that when you are looking for sound quality out of a device like this, and it only has the two side speakers, it's more like a tablet sound than it is more of a laptop sound. And what people oftentimes get wrong about this device is they play it just as it comes out of the box. Now, the way you get this laptop to sound very good is you have to get Dolby Atmos. It's about $15 on the Microsoft Store. And if you're not fond of giving Dolby money, you can also go with DTS Unbound, also around that $15 mark on the Windows Store. They just make this device sound so much better than it does stock, and it's much more mature than the Windows Sonic spatial audio. And that can turn this device into a much better media consumption device, because then you can have the wonderful sound that comes out of the speakers. You also get the absolutely amazing OLED display that comes on this screen. And that is the real highlight of this device, is you get an OLED screen, so you get the deep blacks, you get the nice color accuracy. It is the best part about this machine, and it is aged the best. The thing that has not aged the best was that this device ships with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and that is DDR4 RAM, and it is at speed 2133. It is very slow, and you don't get very much of it. Now, normally 8 gigabytes is not going to be an issue for most of your web-based browsing devices, but when it comes to a web-based browsing device that only ships with integrated graphics, it means that your device is now sharing that memory between your GPU and your CPU. And if it's that slow, it's just going to make everything run a lot slower, because you're going to have to be sharing it. It's going to be bumping it. Just booting into Windows 11, it takes up 4.6 out of the 7.8 available RAM, which is about 60% utilization, doing absolutely nothing. And the SSD that it ships with is just an OEM Samsung SSD. Now, that SSD is upgradable, and you can use a faster SSD upgrade to offset the RAM. But the most disappointing part is that you cannot upgrade the RAM on the 13-inch model, or you can on the 15. So if you're shopping for used laptops from this era, aim for that 15-inch device, because while it might be a little bit larger and a little bit more cumbersome, these devices are extremely thin and they do not offer much of upgradability unless you go for that bigger form factor. Now, another thing that aged very well is that you get Wi-Fi 6 out of the box. So you get that fast download speeds, you get the fast connection speeds, and you get a much more stable Bluetooth experience because that is tied into your Intel Wi-Fi 6 chip. So you get shipped with an AX201, and that operates in the Wi-Fi 6 range. So you're going to get much more stable transfer speeds, much faster, much less crowded bandwidth wise. And just to demonstrate the screen that we have here, I'm going to pull up the LG display right here. I don't know if you can see that with the lights there. So you can see that this gets very deep blacks. It's OLED display. It is all the way black, and then is very color accurate. So that, again, this is from LG's 2020 OLED YouTube video. And the trackpad is also wonderful on this device. It is very responsive. There's no double clicking. There's no flex from the chassis that makes the device double click on the trackpad. None of that. The only other thing that I have a gripe about is that the power button on this display, on this laptop, very unresponsive, and it does not turn on and off very fast. Same thing with hibernation mode. So when you want to take the back off of this device, you're going to take off 4 rubber grommets that are on the corners here. They are not glued down. Thank you, Samsung. And there's only 4 screws that it takes to get into this device. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Take them off in a opposite pattern. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, or alternatively 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way that you get a trick around this is there's a little pry area right here. You have to pry your way around the device to get all the plastic tabs, and then you can take off the back. This is magnesium backing. It feels like plastic, but this is a metal back plate. So once you take that off, you get inside of the device, and what you're greeted with is a very large battery. The battery life on this machine is fairly standard for the 13-inch range, but this is what's helping power that OLED display. The OLED is it's typically power hungry display technology. So you're going to get a 4-cell battery, and this is I believe it was 92 watt. So it's 4350 milliamp hours, and it is absolutely massive. And of course, Samsung is Korean, so you get your Korean first, and then English is second. Just a small fact. So here we get those speakers that I was talking about. You get stereo sound. There's no subwoofer. It's a 13-inch model, so you can't be too upset about that. Here we see the Intel Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chip. It's right here. It is soldered on, so you cannot upgrade the Wi-Fi chip. Same thing with the RAM. You get 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it is soldered on. You cannot upgrade it. There is nowhere to upgrade. There's no slot for it. But what you do get is you get the M.2 SSD slot right here. Now this is a Gen 3 slot, so you're not going to get the speeds of a Gen 4 SSD, But what you do get is the Gen 3 speeds right here, which are plenty fast for one of these media browsing devices. And you're not going to be doing too much gaming on this device because what you see right here is our CPU GPU combo, which is our Intel i7-10510U. And that also comes with integrated Intel graphics. So when you're running games, you're going to be running at 720p low, and you're probably going to be hitting around 25 FPS. Like I booted up some esports like Overwatch, you're getting about 17 FPS. So don't buy these displays unless you're planning on running an external GPU on these. And I still wouldn't recommend that because of the limited RAM situation where you only have 8 gigabytes of RAM for the whole device. It's just not going to be the best solution. But what you do get is you get a very quiet device because these dual fans cool this very power efficient processor. It barely ever makes any noise, and the noise that it does make is very pleasant. It's not very whiny, it's not very loud. It just kind of is in the background, and you're not going to notice it most of the time. And as far as I/O goes, you get two USB A's right here. These are 3.0, I believe, 3.1. And what you get on the side is very impressive. You get a Thunderbolt 3 port right there. You get a headphone jack that's 3.5 millimeter. And you get a HDMI 2.0 port. So you're not going to be able to get the high refresh rate HDMIs out of this, and you're going to be limited to 4K 30. But given the GPU portion of this display, of this laptop, I don't think that you're going to be targeting those high resolutions anyways. So, and after 2 years of usage, and it's been light usage, it's been a browser, mostly browser device, the dust accumulation in this device is not that bad. And that's given the fact that it comes with a dust filter right here. So Samsung, they thought about this, and on the back here, they have installed a dust filter which prevents the dust accumulation on the inside of the device. And when you wipe the device off with your wet microfiber cloth, it picks the dust out of the dust filter right here. So after 2 years, this device is not the fastest. It is not going to blow the doors off the water of anything that's coming out recently, especially the new processors that are coming out. But if you're looking for a device that will do media viewing and web browsing, it's very hard to beat this device, especially since that the going price on these nowadays is around, I think, $800. So that's like Chromebook pricing right now. And you're getting a much better built device than most of those Chromebooks that are out there, except for the high-end Chromebooks, which are about $1,000 anyways. So for the $200 Delta, you can get yourself a much faster SSD, increasing the performance of your device, and you can also have a device that is running Windows and can run much more intensive applications. I've done some light photo editing work on this device before because of that color accurate display, and I've also done some very light video editing on this device. It is not very strong, especially since it is limited in that RAM category, but it will get the job done. So if you are a student and you're looking for a device that has it has the appeal of that MacBook form factor, where you pull this out in a coffee shop, you're not going to be drawing too much attention like those gaming laptops that are out there. It does have that little bit of flair at the top. It's that plastic monochrome look here. I think they called it like Mystic Chrome or something like that on their website years ago. But and then there's kind of a color shift on this. So you shift it in the light, you get kind of a purple and blue flake to this paint, but the paint has not held up very well. It's very scratched up. You can see all the scratches on this, and it's the device wasn't the most popular device, so it's very hard to find skins. The last trick that this device has, and that I find very novel, and one of the reasons why I picked it up, was that this device supports wireless power sharing. So remember that big cell battery that we covered earlier? If you turn on the wireless power sharing, it will activate the wireless charging pad in the trackpad, and then you can charge your device on it. So if I activate it, once I boot into this here, I can charge my phone just like that. You see it's charging there. I just plopped it on there. So this is very handy if you're traveling a lot and you need to have the charging on the go. But it's not that fast, so it's only really meant to charge like a watch or like think of like earbuds or something like that. And the other disadvantage of having that wireless sharing through the trackpad is that if you do not have a mouse with you, you cannot use the trackpad because it'll be charging a device. It also makes the trackpad area very warm after using it. So I would only use it to charge up in a pinch. So if you really needed it, it's there. But don't go out of your way searching for this because I think that this technology still has a long way to go. But that, in a nutshell, is my 2-year usage of this device. It has stand the test of time. It's just not the most powerful device, and it is nowhere near like a desktop level performance. What you're looking for with this is you're looking for simple performance. You're looking for something that has a wonderful display. Like this blows the doors off of most displays out there, and except for the new stuff that's coming out. But you have to remember that this is a 2-year-old laptop. And for the price that you can pick these up for, especially secondhand, they are definitely worth considering if you are on a budget and you want something that's built very well. And like you can see, there's no flex in this chassis either. So the build quality on these was built to last. So that kind of concludes what I have to say about this laptop. It is nothing special except for the fact that that's kind of its advantage, is that this thing is across the board average, which means you're never going to be disappointed. But there's always something out there that's going to be better in every single category. What you get with this is you get something where there is no clear disadvantage, no clear advantage, but it does well in almost all categories. The only real advantage of this device over all others is that it has that OLED display. So if that's what you value, if you value a good looking display where you can watch media from your laptop and even plug in a headphone to the device that you can expand just like that. Also, it does have that SSD card reader right here, so you can use a SIM slot and open the SSD much like an old Android phone. If you want that for media storage, this will do you very well. It's definitely suited for that that use case. So if you want to take this on the plane and watch movies off your local storage, it will do that amazing. And that's kind of my recommended use case for it. And for everything else, you're not going to be gaming on this. You're not going to be doing hardcore editing projects. You're not going to be doing simulations. You're not going to be doing much more than light coding because there's no RAM in this device. So what I would suggest is this is a media consumption device first and all else separate. And that pretty much concludes what I have to say about this device. It's a laptop. It's an laptop. If you want the laptop experience where you can watch a device, just close your mind and turn on the YouTube at the end of the day while you're lying in bed, this is that perfect device for you. Or if you're going to be doing a lot of flying in your future, you can have this device and it will perform admirably. And that'll wrap it up for me. This has been the go-to guy, and I am signing off here. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, morning, or lunch, whatever you are at right now, and I hope to see you guys again.